my creations. Today I'm going to make Neville's Mimbulus Mimbletonia, his little cactus. I'm going to make it into a miniature out of polymer clay so that it will fit right next into our mandrake that I made a long time ago. We didn't post any videos this weekend because we were visiting some cute little lambs that some friends of ours got. They were so adorable, I almost died. And we did some planting in our garden because the sun was finally out. So that was a little life update for now, but let's get started. So the first thing I did, I just took a terracotta pot. If you don't have one, you can always make one out of polymer clay first. Then I just filled it with some old clay and then just a smooth layer of new clay on the top. Now I've just gone ahead and measured out a strip of clay. This is going to be another layer of the terracotta pot because Neville's pot actually have 2 layers on top. And I've just measured it to be a little bit thicker than what this part is going to be. And it goes all the way around. And it just adds that little extra layer. And I'm going to paint it in this color after everything is finished. But right now I'm just going to put this to the side so I don't ruin it while I work on the actual plant. So what I've begun to do, I'm far from finished. I just took a round circle of clay. And I've just started adding on pieces of clay into circles and putting them on that. And it's easier for me to work with it before I'm attaching it to this. So I'm just adding small pieces, figuring out how it's going to look, putting it on, and just seeing with the band and everything that it's going to look the way I want it in the end. So I'm soon going to attach the first layer, and once I'm finished with the details on that layer, as you'll see I'll do in any second now, I'm going to put it in the oven, bake it, and then continue adding layers upon layers until I have the full length. So additionally, I want to add some clay in the middle where it's pretty empty so that I continue getting the height in the middle. And you can fake it because you're not going to see the middle because you're going to build up circles around it, so you can just be a little bit rough here and just build up the height as you go along. So if you don't want to use as much clay as I'm using, I'm just using because I have a lot of it right now, you can stuff the center of the entire figure with aluminum foil and just add clay around it, but that's really up to you and what you prefer. So before I'm adding it on, I'm just doing a little bit of testing for the small bumps that they have on the major parts. And I just add a little dots of clay, trying to smooth them out into the rest. And just work them in. After that, I think I'm just going to put it onto the pot. I might add some more first before I do that. And then in the end, before I bake it, I'm just going to put on these small details that are really tiny on the tips. So as you can see, I'm just adding on some small circles or bumps everywhere on the bottom layer. And I think I'm just going to add another layer with some bigger ones on top before I actually bake it, just to see how it turns out. And I'm just putting them on, and then I'm going to incorporate them into the sculpture by using my tool just to drag them a little bit to smooth out the edges, and just use my fingers to flatten them down a little bit. And that is pretty much the base techniques for the plant. The little details will be added eventually. So you just there's a lot of blending and adding of small circles. So it's a little bit difficult to see, but after adding a lot of these different circles, I'm now adding small spikes to the entire thing, and all the little balls have usually 1 or 2 spikes, and there's some spikes on the big ones as well. And after I added these, it's ready for the oven. And I'm just gonna have some small touch-ups and make sure that all the lines are even and that there's smooth transitions to each one of these little things. But that's really it for layer 1. And it's pretty much the same technique upwards as well. I'm just gonna add some arms and build a little bit to the sides. So what I did, I just added some more spikes on the entire bottom layer, then I placed it in the oven, so now this part is solid. Now I'm going ahead and added a column in the middle, and I've just begun to put on some circles and try to find the shape and sizes that I want, adding some arms and everything, and I'm going to build a little bit more up in the middle as well. So I just want to make a interesting shape all the way around, and now I'm just going to merge all of these together and do the same thing as I did earlier, adding some spikes and adding a little bit of those small circles as well. So here's the final silhouette of the Mimbulus, and right now it does look a little bit weird when it's still not painted, but that is just to give an idea of how it's gonna look in the end. So I'm rolling out just little chunks of clay, and I'm rolling them into small spikes. Then I'm lifting them up with my fingers and just pressing them down towards the tabletop, almost to create miniature sorting hats, if you get what I mean. Tiny little spikes. And then I'm gonna put them on wherever I feel that they fit in. And they're still really big, so what I'm doing is I'm just putting my tool all the way around the little spike, little thorn. And once I'm happy with how that looks, I'm just going to drag it and drag off the excess, because then you get just a little tip left. So as you can see, I've just painted a base layer of some yellowish green on the actual plant, and I painted the pot with some ochre yellow because the pot is actually yellow, not that orange that my pot was. Now I just lighten up my green. It's mixed with ochre yellow, white and some brown just to mattify the color and make it a little bit dull. Now the base layers are finished. I'm just going to add more white into the paint I've used, and I'm just going to make it lighter and lighter and lighter as I paint the top here. Avoid the crooks and crannies of the plant and just really work that color upwards to create some highlights on all the little bumps. And don't mind the little spikes, they are going to be painted a red color later on. Now I'm finished with the green. I added green highlights until I was satisfied. Now I mixed some red ochre with some brown, and I'm just going to add it on all the spikes really carefully. And it's going to take a while. So the last thing I'm doing now, after I've covered all the spikes in that brown reddish color, is just adding really small dots of white on the tips of all of them. It is a little bit difficult to see on the reference pictures, but there is some white on the ends, and I just want to replicate that as good as possible. So that is really what I'm doing now. And after that, I'm gonna paint the pattern on the actual pot, and that is really the last thing I'm going to do. So for the pattern, of the pot, I just made some triangles up and down and added some green dots because that's what I see from the reference pictures. This pattern is really weak in the picture, but it's small bows going all the way around. And at the top there is just lines going down, and there is some small details in the middle here as well, but I'm unsure if I'm going to do them or not. But anyways, now I'm just doing the bows, and I'm just having a really watered down brown paint, and I'm just building it on slowly, making sure that I'm not adding too much at one time. And that is really it for the pattern. So that is the finished project for today. If you liked it, click the like button and click subscribe if you haven't done that already and you want to be a part of our little group here on YouTube. We're probably going to have a Q&A in the future, so if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below, and thank you so much for watching.